Hey, what's up you guys? It's the Curious Owl here, and I have another book review for everyone. So this is going to be on the book Sing It to Her Bones by Marcia Talley. This was a book that I got when I went to a bookstore at one of the malls that I frequent. I don't remember which one it was. I think it was a Schuler's bookstore. And my boyfriend and I had found a blind date with a book stand, and this was a book that the packaging said something like, if you like stories about people that survive cancer and you like mysteries and kind of things along that nature. I think it's been a while since I unwrapped this, but this was the book that came with it. This book was actually published in 1998, so there's a lot of kind of things that are different about this book. When I was trying to explain this book to you guys in my last book review, I had the complete wrong idea of what the story was. I only read like a snippet of The Dust Jacket, which was only a portion of the story. So basically this story is about a woman named Hannah Ives, who is a recent breast cancer survivor. She has just recently gone into remission after having a mastectomy, removing one of her breasts, and decides to go to she loses her job at a law firm and decides to take some time off to go visit her sister-in-law just north of Annapolis, DC. And while she's there, she comes across a body of a girl that had apparently gone missing from this town 8 years prior. And no one had known what exactly had happened to her, and it turns out that she was murdered. So when Hannah finds out about this girl, she is desperate to find out what happened to her because she feels like she owes it to the girl and is trying to kind of, in a way, vicariously grow closer to this girl because of a strained relationship with her own daughter. It's very strange. I don't understand really why she still does it, and it's one of the things that irritates me about this book. But it's basically her trying to figure out what exactly happened to this girl, and then along with this stress of trying to find out what happened, there is a strain in her relationship with her husband that tries to threaten their marriage. So there's all that on her. So I liked this book a lot. It was a really good book. It was totally not what I expected. I had just thought that this was just going to be a whole kind of warm-hearted cancer survivor story. I had no idea it was even going to be a mystery, but then I read The Dust Jacket more and more, and I was like, oh, this is way different than I thought. So it was really, really good. I think that the pacing of the novel was really good, especially towards the end, because that was when a lot of the action actually started to pick up. About probably the last, 75 pages was when the action really started to take off for, when, the chase scene kind of would start happening, as you would call it. So I thought it was pretty good pacing because there was a lot of build-up and a lot of things being found out, and then there was this point where there's all this action, and then kind of everything kind of trickled down really, really well. For me, at least. I know there's a lot of people where they're kind of like, I want the action to kind of happen faster, and then it kind of trickled down, which that doesn't work for me. One thing I had a problem with this book about, though, was I didn't understand exactly why this was such a big deal for Hannah to kind of find out about this story. Now, I would understand if it was solely because since she found the body, she wants to know what happens, which was one of the things. But then she said that she felt like she owed it to her her conscience because she had a very strained relationship with her daughter as a teenager, and this girl, when she disappeared, was about the same age as her daughter was at that time. So it was this really strange kind of almost like I need to do this in order to kind of feel better about how I was with my daughter, and I didn't like that very much. I felt like that was just kind of too crazy, and it didn't make sense to me. But other than that, that was pretty much the only problem I really had with the story. I think, though, also the problem with her husband, it was good to have that in there, but I think that it should have been something a little bit different. I don't think it should have been what it was, because I felt like that just added way too much stress to the character. I felt kind of like, great, now she's kind of freaking out about a bunch of stuff. This is going to be fun. I'm just going to hear her complaining about this whole thing. But, I mean, it wasn't awful. It was just it wasn't really unexpected for the situation she was in, but I just felt like it was a little too much kind of added stress to our main character. But, you know, that's how I feel about it. I mean, I'm sure other people would be like, oh no, that's like the perfect amount of stress because she's thinking about all this stuff. And no, not for me. But if I was to rate this book, I would honestly give it a 4 out of 5 stars because honestly it was a really good book. Couple of things wrong. One of my favorite things about this book though was the fact that it was published in 1998. So they talked about kind of this thing that, like, they talked about dial-up and all these things, which as a teenage, like a young adult in this generation, that's not something I'm familiar with. Like, I don't remember having dial-up in my house because I was just a baby when that stuff was really still around. So to hear, like, Hannah talking about how when she tried to call her husband at one point, she couldn't get through, and she said something like, oh, he must be on the internet, because apparently with dial-up, you couldn't talk on the phone and use the internet at the same time. It just, because it took up so much, like, power or something. And so that was really, really interesting to read because I'm not familiar with that. I didn't really know anything about that growing up in the time I'm growing up in. So it was just really, really cool to kind of read something like that and be like, oh, so that's how it kind of was. So yeah, that's basically my review of Sing It to Her Bones by Marcia Talley. Really good book if you're into kind of Nancy Drew-esque kind of stories. The only thing I would say is this is not a book I would recommend for anyone under the age of maybe 16 because there's a lot of language, quite a bit of violence, some gore, and a lot of kind of sensitive topics in this novel. One with breast cancer, there's another thing about abortion, and there's a whole thing about sexual harassment. So I would not recommend this to anyone under the age of 16 because it is much more of an adult kind of mystery novel. But other than that, really great book, really enjoyed it, really glad I actually found this one, and I would highly recommend to several other people. So the next book that I will be reading for my next book review is going to be another kind of retelling of a fairy tale, which is honestly one of my favorite Disney stories in the world, and that is called The Beast Within by Serena Valentino. From what I know of this book, it's supposed to be another retelling of the story of Beauty and the Beast, which is my favorite Disney movie on earth. I feel like I am pretty much the living embodiment of Belle, and I'm so excited for the new Beauty and the Beast movie that's going to be coming out next year, by the way. Emma Watson is like a goddess. I cannot believe they're picking her as Belle. I'm so excited. But from what I know of this book, this is just another retelling of Beauty and the Beast, but this is supposed to be very, very dark. This is supposed to be kind of like how A Tale Dark and Grim was, where it's a very dark retelling of a classic story. So I'm really excited to read this. This was a book that actually my sister found around, I think Christmas time. It was just before Christmas, and my dad's side of the family, every year we get one present early for when we go to our his side's Christmas party, and so this was a present. This was my present that I got, but my sister did find it and was like, oh my gosh, I think we would really like this. So she wanted to read it. I don't know if she actually did read it or not, but I know if she didn't, she wants to read it after I have read it. So I'm very, very excited to see how this is, and I just love this cover. This cover is just absolutely beautiful to me with the artwork. So yeah, very excited to start doing this. But that is going to do it for this book review. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, please do give it a big thumbs up. And if you're not already and you'd like to be, hit that button down below and subscribe to become an owlet in our flock. And I will see all of you guys in my next video. Bye guys!